Okay, so right here, I'm going to dive in and just kind of cover what's going on because the audio is terrible. What's going on here right here is I'm checking out this new mower that I picked up. It's a DR mower trimmer. Um, as you can see, the axles are kind of bent and it needs a little bit of work. But right now, I'm just trying to figure out if the thing runs. But picked it up because I've got a couple of retention ponds I'm going to try and use it on. Just places that I don't want to damage my good equipment. I'd much rather drop this into the water. It's really just a lawnmower engine sitting on top of a Beltman pulley system that drives a weed eater head. Uh, but I got this and a couple of other lawnmowers out of a storage unit for a pretty good deal. And my plan is to just kind of fix up the other lawnmowers, do whatever I got to do to them to sell them, and get my money back. And this thing, if it doesn't work out great, well, that's not too big of a deal because I didn't spend a whole lot of money on it. But here I'm just going to show how thick the deck is. There's the pulleys and stuff underneath. So let's go here and we can kind of go more in depth on what's going on. So yeah, here we go. Alright, so here's a better view of what's up underneath one of these, at least this brand, which this is the TR-1, which I think is the first generation of these. Now the other reason I picked this thing up is because I just can't stomach paying that much money for a new one. They're like $900 I think for a good model, or like the pro model or whatever, and you know, being that I'm a landscaping company, that's what I would get. But right now I don't see what in the world is so special about it. So I'm buying this to kind of just test the market, or test it in general, to see, you know, if it's actually worth buying a new one. And if it is, then I'll get a new one. But a couple of things, you just got to lubricate some cables down here. This system right here, it locks this in place somehow, and it doesn't really work right now. I'm guessing it's just because it's all stiff and needs oiled. These bearings seem like they're okay. Yeah, that one's kind of crappy sounding, but it's not horrible. This has actually got a brake on it. I don't know if you can see that. It may not be visible. No, it's not. But there's a brake on this to stop it from spinning, and to change these out. Well, these have been in here for a couple of years, so who knows. But what you're supposed to be able to do is, I'm probably gonna need a screwdriver, but you push these in and it slips right through here, and there's a couple of holes that are right here, and you feed the line. Hey, real quick, I just wanted to throw in there that there's some odd background noises coming from the GoPro stand. I'm still pretty new to using Filmora and new to using the camera. I'm still trying to figure out if I like Filmora, which I think I do. I just can't figure out how to do everything on it because there's some features that I have no idea how to get to. And I think there's a tutorial and training videos that show you how to use this. But so far, this has been a pretty good program for free, so I'm digging it. And I'll probably be buying it here in the next season because I plan to make some more videos. So bear with me. Through and it just locks in place, and then obviously the higher you put it up, the higher it cuts, which I'm going to set this way higher than this because this is going to kill everything on the ground, which, I mean, that's not really a bad thing, but that's not really what I want to do either. It just seems like a waste to take everything out. So this is a Kawasaki engine. It's an FC150. Now what I did real quick, just to make sure this thing was even worth messing with, because I have a couple of other gas engines, and I'm pretty sure that it would fit in the exact same spot. But first thing I did was I pulled it over, because this will always tell you anything about an engine, and it pulls over okay. It doesn't pull over great though. So first thing is, I don't know if this has a decompression valve, and what that means is that there's weights in there that spin out and make the engine easier to start. So that kind of throws you off. So I put a compression tester on there. And while I'm down here, okay, spark plug's tight. I can't remember if I actually tightened that up or not. But I put the spark tester on it, and we have a spark. And the next thing I did was I did a compression test. Compression was only about 60, 65, which is enough to start, but it won't run great. So I was kind of leery about that. And This has got adjustable valve lash back here, so I set that at 5 thousandths inch on both sides, and cranked it over, still got it at 60, so I knew that wasn't really the issue. The throttle cable is broken. If you look right here, alright, so I don't know if you can see this too well, but inside here, this is where your throttle linkage is, and it's just on the side of the engine. Well, if it's turned, but if it's pushed all the way in like this, this is the run position. And if you push a little bit farther, that's where the choke is. So I knew that had something. And if it's right here, there's a ground, and that will kill the ignition. So knowing that the bail bar up here doesn't control the flywheel, that there's not a brake, I knew that this would have to stop the ignition. So I pushed it forward out of its stop position and just put it in a run position like that. And I pushed it forward to open up the choke plate, which again, you may or may not be able to see right there. You can't really see it, but it's you can see it actually. Maybe right there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but anyway. So push that forward to actuate the choke, opened it up, and then after I opened it up, I shot some starting fluid in there without the air filter in, because the air filter also looks like the foam insulation is coming apart, and if it inhales that stuff, it'll mess it up. So shot some stuff in there, pulled it twice, it smoked a little bit, but it ran perfect, didn't make any awful sounds. It was actually pretty quiet and smooth, which kind of surprised me. So I know this is sound. So I went online to Amazon and I got an air filter, and I just ordered another carburetor for 17 bucks. Figured that's pretty cheap, and for the time it's going to take me to take that off and clean it, put it back together, and it's probably not going to run right, or it may run right. It's almost just worth it to me. 15, 17 bucks. Just pull this off, throw it away, put another one on. I'll probably still keep it, clean it out, but you know, that's pretty cheap to pay. I don't know what the actual carburetor for this thing costs, but it's pretty cheap. Let me go over a couple of other features on this thing that make it kind of worth, you know, what it goes for. This one's got a fuel tank. It's empty right now, but you can actually visually see the fuel in it. On top here you have a fuel shutoff, which I think that's very cool. That of course is your gas, that's your oil fill. If you want to drain it, it's pretty easy. Being a Kawasaki, it actually has an oil filter, so that kind of gives me a bit of thought process that this actually may be pressure lubricated rather than splash lubricated. And what that means is that splash lubrication on the bottom of the crankshaft, you have this little thing sticking off, and as the crankshaft moves around, the piston moves around, and the connecting rod that's on the crankshaft spins around. So you got this little thing dipping into the oil bath that's on the bottom of the crankcase, and it, you know, kind of flips oil everywhere. That's how it lubricates. Now, a system like this has probably got like a little tiny gear pump, and as oil goes into it, the gears mesh together, and then it squeezes the oil into wherever it needs to go. Through ports and stuff. So you've always got real good oil circulation. So that was another thing. When I saw there was a Kawasaki and it had an oil filter on it, I kind of wanted to save it if I could. And of course, if it's trashed, it's trashed. I'm not too worried about it. I've got other engines. I've actually got a Honda engine I could throw on this, but so that's cool. That runs great. The wheels are kind of bent, but it's literally one bolt here in the center. Just take the axle out. You can take the wheels off. It's pretty easy, and I'm just going to take the bar out, bend it, make it straight again. And as far as anything else goes, I think it needs a new control for the clutch, because what you're supposed to be able to do is pull this back, push it forward. It's supposed to lock in position, and then to unlock it, you need to push this forward again, and it'll unlock. But that doesn't seem to work, and I don't know if that's because something down there is messed around, because if you look at the trimmer head when I do this, I think the linkage is just needs oiled, like lubricated or whatever. I think it's stuck in place, so that might be okay. But as far as right now, this is where I'm at with this thing. I got it to do a retention pond that I'm thinking about bidding. And it, honestly, if this thing works out as good as all the videos show. I'll get a new one. I don't mind now. Because one thing that the new ones have that this one doesn't is self-propulsion. So as I'm sitting here editing this, I just realized I just made a word up. What is that? While it's pretty light, and I mean you can really push this thing through your fingers, I'm sure it's another thing when it's buried deep in weeds and grass. It's probably not that, probably wears you out sitting here walking back and forth with it. One other thing that's very neat, and I don't think I'll be really using this feature much, but you can pull this handle up, stick it like that, and you should be able to, there we go, pivot the body. So what that does is, say you've got a fence line or something like that, as you're pushing it, which this is how it's supposed to look when it's in a straight position. It's going to be like this, so you're going to be, you know, trimming to the side of things rather than just straight on. But I don't see that as a feature I'm going to use that often, but it does work, so that's cool. Go ahead and straighten that guy back out. Go. And now you're straight ahead again. And I don't know about this shield. It seems pretty floppy. I don't really see it stopping anything from hitting you, but I don't know. I'm just going to leave it on there. Yeah. Alright, so again, right here, what I did was I just drained all the fuel that was in the carburetor, which it looked like oil. It was disgusting. And I put some new fuel in the gas tank, not a whole lot, just a little bit, up to the fuel line, and I ran the drain until clear fuel came out. Then went to start it, and it started right back up, completely fine. Smoked a little bit, no big deal, and now it's running perfect. So here you can see the head spinning up. I need to adjust the tensioner some, but I'm just manually operating the throttle, but you can hear it.